everyone, welcome back to Pets Palace Kids. In today's episode we're going to be discussing natural diets for our small pets. A natural diet is very important for our small animals because their digestion is still working in a very similar way to how it was in nature. So giving your small pet the foods that they're designed to eat is going to be the best thing for them, and they're going to do really well on a diet which is very natural. A natural diet might sound a bit complicated, but it's quite straightforward. So we'll start off with rabbits and guinea pigs. They have very similar nutrition needs. Rabbits are folivores, so they are leaf eaters, and in nature they graze on various different plants and grasses and even bits of bark here and there, occasionally some twigs of trees. So you can see their diet is very varied, but consisting of mainly fresh food, so fresh plants and different flowers and grasses as well. So although it is quite hard to give them exactly the same as what they eat in nature, you can definitely recreate this at home. Of course, rabbits and guinea pigs need constant access to hay, and the only time you can get away without feeding hay is if they've got a constant supply of grass. And grass is a lot more nutritious and it has a lot more nutrients in it, so it's a lot better for them. But hay is a replacement for when the grass is not available. So because hay doesn't have that much nutrition in it because it's dried, and the longer you store the hay, the less nutrition it has in it. So it's important that they're getting all of these nutrients from somewhere else. Now, fresh food is going to give them a lot of the nutrients that they need. Of course, the best diet for our rabbits and guinea pigs is one which has lots of different types of grasses, different meadow plants, and all natural fresh food which we can collect from nature. But in winter and in the colder season, it's really hard because things aren't growing as well. By replacing this with fresh vegetables, that is going to give them a lot of the nutrients that they need, and it's going to have a lot of water content in it, so it's giving them that benefit of keeping them hydrated, but mainly for the nutrition in it, it's very important. As a minimum, you should give your rabbits and guinea pigs 10% of their body weight in vegetables daily. You don't want to give them this all at once because that could cause problems with them digesting it. So you want to give them a few meals throughout the day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day is plenty, and this is going to make sure that everything is digested properly and so they don't get any tummy upsets. So that's really important. But fresh food is an essential in their diet. Now, you could feed around about 5 varieties a day, but more is better. There's no limit to how much fresh food that you can feed them because it's so important in their diet. So give them as much as you can and try to change it up every day so that they're getting all the nutrients they need from all these different vegetables. The more varied, the better. You can also feed fruit as a treat, and you can feed this a couple of times a week to your rabbits and guinea pigs. I also recommend that you give your rabbits and guinea pigs dried herbs every day or every few days, because this is going to be a good alternative to the fresh food which you can't give them throughout the winter. So the fresh grasses and plants that you would go and collect, it's a good replacement of that. And although the dried stuff isn't as good as the fresh stuff, it's still a good replacement. Or if you live in the city and you can't get hold of any of this fresh plants and material from nature, then it's a good idea to give them it in a dried form. Seeds are also quite important, and people don't quite realise this because they don't think guinea pigs in nature will be eating seeds, but actually they would be eating the seeds from the plants. So when different flowers are going into seed, they would naturally eat some of these. And we even have seeds in the hay. If you look carefully, there should be certain types of seeds within the hay that you're giving them, but some types of hay don't have many seeds in them, which could cause a fatty acid deficiency. So about a teaspoon a week is plenty, and you could feed various different oily seeds. It's also really useful for rabbits when they're molting because it's a natural way to get rid of the hair that gets trapped, because sometimes when they're cleaning themselves, their fur can get trapped and this could lead to like a blockage. But if you're giving them what we call these oily seeds regularly enough, then this is going to keep things working nicely. So as it's getting towards the warmer weather, we may start to be thinking about putting our rabbits and guinea pigs out on the grass. Here in the UK at the minute, it is quite cold, and if you're bringing your guinea pigs or rabbits from in the house to outside, this could cause problems because they may get sick if there is a really big temperature change. So you've got to really be careful. Wait till the temperature is similar outside, and then you may be able to let them out in a run on the grass. Be really careful though when you start introducing grass to their diet. They can get bloated if they eat too much grass because the way their bodies digest the grass is very different to hay. So maybe start off on the first day, let them out on the grass for a few minutes, then the next day a little bit longer, then the next day a little bit longer, but definitely don't let them graze all of the grass on the first few days because they could get really poorly. So it's really important to introduce grass slowly into their diet. You can also go out and collect grass. It's likely that the quality of the grass will be a lot better because you get really nice, long, luscious grass when you go out and collect it, and this is obviously going to make a lot bigger portions for them and will last a lot longer. You can also go out and pick different plants for your rabbits and guinea pigs. On my website I have an identification guide where you can have a look and it will tell you where to find certain different plants and how to identify them. So I really recommend that you have a look at that, and hopefully that will help you when starting to go out and forage. So that is going to be by far the healthiest food for them. If they've got a constant amount of forage, then that is pretty much all that they need in their diet, and this is by far the healthiest thing you can get for them. So if you can, I really recommend getting out and foraging. If you do go out and forage, just be really careful. Make sure that there isn't going to be any pollution on it from the vehicles if it's too close to a road. And also be careful that you don't pick anywhere that you think dogs or other animals may have used it to go to the toilet there, because then that's contaminated with something that could be harmful. So try to pick away from there. Feeding pellets is definitely optional. If you can't afford to buy enough fresh food, or you can't go out and forage and give them enough fresh food from nature, then you may have to supplement with pellets. So I would recommend choosing a pellet brand which says cold press. This means that it's made at a cold temperature, so it has a lot more of the natural goodness. And also look for grain free. This is better for their digestive systems. And also look for one which has a lot of natural meadow plants in it, because that is going to be the most similar to what they will be eating in nature. If you can't get hold of this type of pellet, then that's okay, but I would recommend you feed some type of dried herb mix alongside the pellets, because they could be missing out on important nutrients, and I really recommend you add that if you can't get hold of these healthier pellets. You can also go out and collect different branches from apple trees, hazel trees, and there are a few more, and this is going to be a really nice addition to their diet. So I recommend, if you can, just to get a few twigs of those, and that is going to be really good for them. Hamsters and gerbils are also quite easy to feed. It does depend on the species of hamster. The main thing that they need is a seeds and grains mixture. There's different percentages depending on their age and possibly the species that you're getting, but that should make up the bulk of their diet, and it's really simple to make your own at home. The next most important thing is going to be fresh or dried plants, and you don't need to give these in really big amounts, so it's a lot easier to go out and pick up a few dandelions here and there, or to get a pre-dried mix, which is what I personally choose to use, especially at this time of the year. When it gets to the warmer season, you can introduce more things that you've collected from nature, but make sure that they are safe before feeding them. So this is going to give them important minerals and make sure that they're getting extra nutrients which they need. You can also feed a small serving of fresh vegetables each day, and this again is going to give them the added vitamins and minerals which they might not be getting from the other parts of their diet, and especially gerbils may not be so keen on the vegetables at first, but it's good to keep trying, and eventually they'll get a taste for things and you'll be able to work out what they do and don't like. Protein is also really important because in nature they are not pure herbivores, and the best way to get this into their diet is by giving them, for example, dried mealworms or other types of dried insect. Some people do feed these live, but personally I choose to feed them dried, and you can give them maybe a few teaspoons of this each week just to make sure they're getting enough protein in their diet. A really good plant source of protein includes pea flakes and soy flakes, which you can also add into their mixes. Now, because gerbils are from Mongolia, there are some types of berries which you will find in Mongolia. This includes goji berries and barberries. They're not so common to come across in your supermarkets, but if you go to a health food store, you might be able to find them, and they're really great as a treat. Don't give them too often, but it's a good healthy addition to their diet. Also, other nuts and seeds such as pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, almonds, cashew nuts, and all of these types of fatty ingredients are actually very healthy, and they do have quite a bad reputation. However, they are really healthy in smaller amounts, and I like to add these into the gerbils and hamsters mix. Just don't give too many because they can cause them to put quite a lot of weight on, but a small amount every day should be just fine. They also love to chew on the twigs, so that is really going to give them a nice fun activity as well as being good for their health. So there we go, that's so simple, very easy to provide a natural healthy diet for your rabbits, guinea pigs, gerbils and hamsters. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll try and get back to you. Also, don't forget to check out my pet care website. That should really help you with any further information on pet care and nutrition especially. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!